Hey Logan,
Hi.
we're heading down to the bus stop, huh?
Sure.
What day is it?
December 5th.
Thursday, huh? Also known as?
Friday Eve.
That's right, Friday Eve. Our favorite day of the week, huh? All right. It's kind of a little foggy out today, isn't it? Hi.
Yes,
But that's how it is every day here, huh?
I guess. I don't know.
Where you going? Hey, do me a favor, will you? Please hit that thumbs up button before you even watch the video. Very foggy today. Look at that. Yeah. Let's go work on the Deckel grinder. I think that turned out pretty good. Just gonna mask it and do a quick wipe, and then it'll be ready for paint. I got the whole thing masked. I degreased it. I'll take it outside and choose some paint on it. You don't need to see that. You've seen me paint. The main axle is in pretty good shape overall. There is very minimal wear. I took a micrometer and took some measurements. It looks pretty good. But there are some discolorations on there. And I thought about leaving them, but you know, the rest of the machine will look good. So I decided to soak it in Evaporust. But I don't have a whole lot of Evaporust, and I don't have a container that's big enough for it. So what I got is this 1-inch PVC electrical conduit. And in my true fashion, I could not find a 1-inch cap to glue on there. And it's Thanksgiving Day, and so we gotta make do with what we got. So I took some saran wrap, multiple layers of saran wrap, electrical tape to keep the bottom from leaking out, and what we'll do is we'll fill it and let it soak vertically. So it'll take that discoloration off, and hope is that it won't leak out. So we'll see.
2,000 years later.
Let's see if we can figure out how to disassemble this. Well, that came out. See, I don't know what that does. Right there. Oh, that locks that, huh? Okay. The pin didn't want to come out, so we're having to drill it out. It's a little trick I learned from Stan Zinkowski at Barzy Industrial. Here's a knurled knob that you want to hold onto with a vice grip, but you don't want to damage it. So you wrap a tie wrap around it and then clamp onto that. Stan, that guy's a pretty smart guy. Well, that's one casualty. I broke that lead screw. That's the lead screw. And after I removed the pin, I was trying to wiggle it out, and I guess, I mean, that's a weak spot right there where the pin goes through. And it broke right there, so I'm gonna have to make a new one. Oh, that was loose already. This piece gets pressed in, and that is basically a nut for the lead screw. Just like that. That's the heater that you're hearing in the background. Look like Allen heads, but it's not backing out. It's like it's just pressed in or something. Well, looks like I'm gonna have to make another pin spanner for these. Like that, I guess. That's the indexing ring. I managed to drive the pins out of these, out of that knurled knob, and also this stop. And I tried to take this out, but it wouldn't come out all the way. And then I discovered, this is pretty tricky, look at that. They have a stop screw at the end of that screw. Now this can come out. There you go. And that's spring-loaded. That is the indexing stop pin. Go. I'm using plastic mallet here. There. Well, I think the only thing remaining is this main spindle, or what would you call that? Taper. And we're gonna have to make a couple pin spanners. 32 millimeters in diameter, about 1¼ inch. We're gonna make 2 pin spanners, but I'm not gonna go into whole detail. I'll just fast forward through what I'm doing, because in my last video I showed how I built it. It's exactly the same, just different size. I finished the pin spanners, but I wanted to show something. Show you something. Notice how the nuts, come on, focus. There you go. Are not. They don't have holes. They have slots in them. So they're not true pin spanners. So here's how they turned out. You notice the tip has a very sharp inside corner there. And basically, I welded a bead to build that up. Now, there's a trick to doing that so you get a nice clean inside corner. Take a piece of copper like this, and I filed a slot on it. Just a regular file that same width as the material here. And I held onto it where I need it, and I welded. Now the weld will not stick to copper. So what results in is a nice, clean, sharp inside corner build with the weld. And then you just grind it off. Make it nice and flat. Here's the other one. Well, that came off easy. Crunchy. All the grinding dust. Well, that worked. Hello. It doesn't stick out very far. I managed to get the key out. It was really in there. It just wasn't sticking out very far for me to grab with anything, so I had to resort to welding something to that pin. Welded on a nail with a little MIG welder, and I was able to pop it out. And I should be able to reuse that. Just grind that off and stone it, and it'll be good as new. And that's what it looks like. This is where the collet fits in. And there's a pin, locking pin, that fits over that key groove. Mineral spirit. got them all cleaned up. We're gonna soak them in Evaporust.
$2,000 later.
I have the parts separated into two groups. Here, they just been derusted and they just need to be protected. They're not gonna get the blue finish, so just shoot them with some WD-40 to get the water off and prevent from corrosion. Here's are the parts that will be re-blued, and these right here will get re-blued completely, but here are the parts that only need partial bluing. For example, the end piece right here, the head, and the knob portion, so that this shaft, here's a offset cam that, you know, make sure that works properly and slides smoothly. Last time the camera cut out as I was bluing, so I didn't get to see it. You didn't get to see it, but you know, like I said, I use brown oxbow blue, works very well. So we'll just get the keep the camera rolling as I do this, and the heater is gonna come on and off, so you'll hear that noise. We'll let that dry a bit. Meantime, let's put some WD-40 on this so they don't rust. Now we want to take these and put some oil on them. Oil's been wiped off. This with WD-40, it's all been dried off and wiped and cleaned, and just look how beautiful those things turn out. So I have a few more pieces to derust, these 4, and then that should be it. So it's taking a long time to get here. Now these, after I derust, I'm gonna have to do some light body work and paint, but they don't look too bad. So we'll soak them in Evaporust and go from there. Okay, let's start reassembling this, at least the main axle part. But before we do, I thought long and hard about how to keep these machined surfaces from rusting. Now, we do not want to put oil there because then it will just collect the grinding dust and just make it into lapping compound. So what I decided to do is to use this Shield T9. It's a rust preventive spray. It dries dry. Now, when I was into woodworking, I used a lot of this to protect cast iron surfaces from rusting, you know, like table saw and whatnot, where you really couldn't put oil or any silicone material on there because then that would get on the wood that you're working with, and later when you go to put finish on it, it would just wreak havoc. So this, I know, stays put and doesn't come off, and it dries clean. So dries clean and dry. Dries dry. What am I saying? Anyway, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spray some on that, on the paper towel, and I'm gonna rub it in there. After it dries, you wipe it. And you don't have to worry about grinding dust sticking and becoming unabrasive. Now this is the main axle. There's a 1 through hole for a taper pin. So I marked the side that is the diameter, a bigger diameter. That's where you want to come in from. So little bow shield. I'm gonna wrap some stuff on there so it doesn't damage. All right. There. You know, one nice thing about being a YouTuber and making videos is I can go back to my old videos and figure out how it's supposed to go back together. Let's put the flapper back on. Yep, there are 2 pins that I still need to put in. I'll do that later. Well, the main knob I still need to de-rust. I was on the fence about it, but I need to. Let me show you what it looks like. This is plated. I think it's nickel plated satin, but the end is a bit rusty. I don't know if it's going to come off or not, but I'll soak it and see. Okay, now we get to put this washer and pin nuts. So we need to pull the shaft out a little bit. Well, let's do this quick. Remember the pin spanners that we made? The first one? So once I get the other parts refinished, we can start attaching this, reattaching that. Alright, let's put the hardware on here on the bottom part, and that'll keep it, lock it from turning. It has a little dimple on it. And that's where this grub screw fits in. And now this locking sleeve. Gotta turn the bolt from the bottom first. And you lock it like that. remember how the front was all peeled, damaged? That's what this knob does. People just unlock it and let it slam onto it. I think this is a good place to end this episode. Next one, we'll be able to reassemble the entire grinder except the drive motor. I have some fancy spindle grease that came, so we'll be able to rebuild the main spindle as well. So that's going to be a fun episode. At least visually, there'll be a lot of progress. So please hit that like button, which looks like thumbs up, and a comment and subscribe. I appreciate it. Thank you. Cooper, are you a good boy? You are a good boy? Yeah? All right, let's go. Let's go. I'm coming. Let's go. Let's go.